Corporate life was sold to my generation as the pinnacle of the American dream. You go to college, study hard, and you're promised this shiny corporate job working 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and you'll have steady income to provide for yourself and your family. On the surface, that sounds like the best thing ever, but they forget to mention one little detail, and that detail is that working in corporate can slowly suck the soul out of you if you aren't careful. I've only been working in corporate for 2 years, and it makes me think, what does life look like 10 to 20 years down the road? I wonder how many dreams have died or been put on pause because people were content with their comfortable 9 to 5 and they never took that leap to follow their true passions. Today, I wanted to highlight some of the ways working in a corporate job is killing our souls. And before you click off because you don't care about what I'm about to say, ask yourself this. If money wasn't an object, what would you be doing? And if you genuinely love your job, I'm happy for you and I'm rooting for you and I'm wishing nothing but the best. Early on, I asked myself, does working in corporate have a tangible impact on the real world? For context, I work in finance, so the impact isn't always something you can see. The work I do only affects the bottom line and the almighty shareholders. Like, I feel like nurses or lawyers or even bus drivers, the work they do on a daily basis seems more impactful on this earth than what an entry-level corporate job can do over the next 40 years. Seriously, like whether I'm there or not, the company will continue to operate like normal, and it sometimes feels like we are nothing but a cog in this giant machine. And don't get me started on AI coming into the picture. It makes you start questioning where these kinds of entry-level roles are headed. Like, should I start packing my bags now? Am I cooked? And on top of what feels like meaningless work, when you're at the bottom of the corporate totem pole, you have no say in any decisions. Like, you might be able to select what color your Excel graph is, but if you dare change that PowerPoint formatting, shame on you. There's this quote that when you work in lower level corporate, you sometimes get blamed for stuff, but you have no authority to make decisions, so it's a lose-lose. And when you finally get to make a strategic decision, you have to go through like 4 or 5 people in the chain of command until it gets approved. I know this may not sound like the case for old companies, but I think this applies to a decent amount. And what really gets me is the reason you can't make these decisions. It's because corporate sometimes isn't about logic. It's about politics. I thought when I graduated high school, I would be done with some useless drama and status, but politics in the office is even worse. There are certain people in each company that you have to get along with. Otherwise, you'll be having a giant red ass target on your back the whole time you're at this company. And you could be having the best results of your life and have these raving reviews about you. But if you don't fit into this agenda of the office politics, you are certainly cooked. And to me, that's bullshit. At the end of the day, shouldn't your performance be the driving factor on if you get a promotion or not? Not if you're liked by some secret high-class society. And just doesn't make sense that you have to put on an Oscars-worthy performance every single day if you want to make it up this corporate ladder. It gets to a point where you put on a fake personality for so long, it could start to bleed into your personal life and you slowly become the corporate version of yourself, which if you don't notice, that could potentially hurt your soul. Maybe I'm thinking too deep into this. Surely a billion-dollar company would have my back in tough economic times, right? Well, if you're naive enough, you may be right, but I've heard stories of people who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into a company just for them to get laid off because the company needs to cut costs. I bet working for a company that would drop you in an instant if it meant they would hit their numbers is a different type of feeling, man. I have some stats here to back it up too. In 2025, over 1.1 million people were laid off in the United States. But that's when it clicked and I had this crazy thought. There is a reason they give you an employee number on your first day of work. Because at the end of the day, that's all you really are to them. They don't take in consideration that you have feelings and mouths to feed or mortgages to pay. They need to hit their numbers and nothing is going to stop them. There seems to be no loyalty in corporate. And an epiphany is that something scarier than being laid off while you were being a loyal employee is staying at a place you don't even like because it's comfortable. I call this the comfort crisis, and it's when companies will do just enough or pay you just enough so you never end up leaving and you stay there forever. I mean, logically, it makes sense. If you're being paid well enough at a job you don't necessarily hate, but you also don't love, why would anyone go through the effort to leave and find a place that they think is better? It really boils down to the fear of the unknown. It's keeping people at their shitty corporate jobs that they don't enjoy, and that is scary as hell to me. Giving 40 years of your life, over half of your adult life basically, is working for someone who makes 1,000 times your salary, and they promote you just enough to keep you hooked, and you slowly lose your soul. And that, my friends, is the real fear I have working in corporate America. As you become older with more responsibilities, the less likely you'll be to take risks and pursue a passion of yours, because you don't want to leave your comfy job. I've seen many videos of people in their 40s and 50s talk about how their biggest regrets in life was caring too much about their job and not using that time to do stuff that they were passionate about, like doing hobbies or building relationships with their family. I see it as you're at the blackjack table and you have no more money. You are dead broke and you're about to head home. But right when you're about to head home, corporate America taps you on the shoulder and gives you a $5 bill just so you can stay a little longer and you don't go home to your kids and your wife. So once people figure out that comfort is keeping them at a job they don't necessarily love, I feel like a new toxic manager could enter this mix, and then it will become a straight up nightmare. And this leads me to my biggest claim yet. Who your manager is will make or break your time at your job. If you're placed under a manager who understands that there is more to life than just work, consider yourself lucky and you hit the jackpot, because that is amazing. And I wish everyone watching this video, I hope that happens to you. But on the flip side, you could also be placed under a micromanager who will watch and judge your every single move. And if that happens to be you, good luck, buddy. I'm praying. I've been incredibly blessed in my corporate life to have super awesome managers, but some of the stories my friends have told me about their managers, it makes me feel even luckier. Just the other day, one of my buddies texted me that his manager would message him sometimes when his Microsoft Teams status went to yellow. If you're not familiar with Microsoft Teams, like, you're green when you're working and when you're yellow, you've been away. So that means my buddy was only away for like 5 minutes and his manager is texting him because he's watching him like a hawk. That would make me feel so uncomfortable. Oh, Colby, toxic managers aren't unique to corporate. But it just adds to the list of things that are slowly killing our souls if you work in these toxic work environments. Another miscellaneous thing that isn't the best about working in corporate is the commute to and from the office. That is time that you don't get back, and it's not included in your working hours, but I think it should be. Now we don't even work 9 to 5s anymore. With commutes, you're thinking of work at least from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Also, why is lunch not included in all of this? Or those conversations around the water cooler that are just so awkward. Like, it's about the weather, or it's about what's going on at work, or some random stuff. I swear 90% of my conversations with coworkers that I don't talk to much are like this. Oh, hey, Jim Bob, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well, Colby. How are you?
Hey, Jim Bob. Thanks for asking. I'm doing great, man. Did you see it's supposed to snow tomorrow?
I did. I gotta get the snowblower ready.
Yeah, me too. I'll talk to you later. There's nothing wrong with those conversations. Maybe it's a skill issue on my end, but it just feels like so fake and forced to have those kinds of conversations while you're at work. Or what I like to call the corporate jargon epidemic. You'll hear these in almost every meeting that you're in. We got the circle backs, we got the don't silo ourselves in, Rome wasn't built in a day, like these kinds of things. And, oh, can you hear me? Is my screen on? This kind of thing. It's just a part of the corporate America nature that I find a little bit funny, and I find a little bit ironic, because you don't hear those outside of work. And that makes me think, why are these idioms only used in the corporate life? I don't know. Now, I know I sound like a Debbie Downer and everything about corporate America is terrible, but that's just not the truth. There are some highlights about working in corporate America, and I want to share what keeps me going at my corporate job, and maybe it'll help you guys too. The number one thing keeping me sane at my corporate job is having work friends. If you don't have work friends, it makes your working environment a hell of a lot worse. I compare having work friends to like a cheat code in the corporate life. You don't even have to be around the same age, but if you guys are, it's like you're all in the same exact boat and you all have these shared experiences with these people. It helps a lot. And especially if you're new to this job, having work friends is so vital to get acclimated to the place you're working. And I think this is probably the biggest investment you can have while working in a new job in corporate is having work friends, because it will help tremendously and pay millions and millions of dividends in the long run. But what used to feel like the ultimate adult move, getting your own place, grinding in corporate America, keeping your nose to the grindstone, now it just feels like you're signing up to slowly waste away in a job where you aren't passionate and you don't love that much. But I want to hear from you guys. Drop a comment below. Is working in corporate America slowly killing our souls? And full transparency, I know how incredibly lucky and blessed I am to be in this position to talk about this stuff. So I am forever in debt and forever grateful for that. And please make sure to hit like and subscribe, because we are closing in on 500 subscribers. And a big shout out to Polly Walnuts and JP Finance for inspiring this kind of video. Peace.